Good to have you with us this morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're going to get started with the latest winter storm dumping more rain on an already soaked California. Flood watches continue up and down the California coast this morning with more heavy showers expected today.
The storm has turned roads to rivers, leaving some drivers stranded, forcing dramatic water rescues. Landslides and mudslides have damaged homes and blocked off roads. And there's a possibility of more land giving way as the rain continues to fall. On California's central coast, the Santa Barbara airport remains closed after storms washed out the area. As much as 10 inches of rain fell, leaving the runways covered with water.
NBC News meteorologist Angie Lassman will tell us how long the storm is expected to stick around. We'll get with her in just a moment. But first, we begin with NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz. She's in Los Angeles with the latest on conditions there. Good morning, Liz.
Hey, Joe and Savannah, good morning to you. It's raining down on us here in L.A. right now, and even as the worst of this storm starts to move out, we're still seeing the damage from this heavy rain we've gotten. For perspective, 75% of LA's annual average rainfall has happened just this month in February so far. I am outside a road closure for the famed Mulholland Drive here in LA. A part of it blocked off indefinitely now because of a landslide. The infrastructure across the state right now just in dire conditions in parts of it because of how saturated the soil is. We're seeing massive downed trees, fallen power lines, dangerous driving conditions, and people attempting to drive through rushing waters, getting stuck from Sacramento to Santa Barbara. There's been swift water rescues. I witnessed one yesterday in Santa Barbara. Also near Santa Barbara, a pretty sad, stunning image there at the Refugio State Beach. These massive, iconic, beautiful palm trees have collapsed into the ocean. That's because, again, the soil's so saturated, the beach is eroding. It's a combination of those things and just so symbolic of the issues we're dealing with here. Now, 35 million people remain under flood watches right now across the state. There's high wind advisories, high surf advisories. And again, even as the conditions start to ease up here, the threat of more landslides, issues like here at Mulholland Drive, more mudslides is very real in the coming days across the state. Joe and Savannah.
All right, Liz, thank you so much.
Let's get more on the weather that is headed your way.
Meteorologist Angie Lassman joins us now with the forecast. Angie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Liz gave you lots of details on exactly how that situation has been unfolding. And unfortunately, as she mentioned, we've got more to deal with here when it comes to wet weather over the next day or so. Here's the deal right now with your radar. You can see plenty of heavy rain working into the early morning hours for folks in LA, stretching down to San Diego. That's kind of the bullseye of where we're going to see the greatest chances of some flash flooding through the day. But we've got these flood alerts up and down California, from Northern California, San Francisco, Monterey, slow down through Santa Barbara, and even as far south as San Diego. We're dealing with the flood alerts that are in effect right now and likely lasting through tomorrow. But I mentioned that bullseye area. It's going to be Southern California that we see with a moderate risk of seeing the flash flooding. The rainfall rates are going to be once again pretty good. We're talking an inch per hour. So that, of course, on these already saturated grounds is going to be problematic, especially in Southern California, but the risk goes up and down the coast as well with that rain through the day today. Here's how it plays out. We've got plenty of moisture to tap into, so those rounds of heavy rain are going to continue through your Tuesday. We'll see some additional snowfall, but it's really going to be the rain with the flood risk that concerns us most across the state of California today. By tomorrow, much of that kicks out to the east, and we're instead dealing with the heavy snow working across parts of the Great Basin and the Rockies. We'll pick up some additional snowfall there, and we'll still, unfortunately, see some of those scattered showers lingering across portions of California. Between today and tomorrow, really through your midweek, another inch to 3 inches possible. This is why we're so concerned about folks in Southern California, specifically LA County, stretching down to Oceanside. Another couple of inches on grounds that have already received so much rain over really the season could be problematic. So the landslides, the mudslides, the washed out roads, all on the table here as we go through the day today. We do have the winter alerts in effect with that additional snow. You can see they stretch across much of those western ranges, and we're talking at some of the highest elevations, maybe a foot to a foot and a half. Otherwise, we'll see the snow starting to wrap up here as we get later into our work week, guys. But unfortunately, the threat of flooding will continue for folks out west today.
All right, Angie, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Now to the busy slate of legal battles facing Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump.
That's right. This week in New York, his legal team is expected to appeal the $355 million ruling in his civil fraud case, and then preparations for his criminal hush money trial in Manhattan, which is set to start on March 25th, get underway. Meanwhile, in Florida, Trump lawyers are planning to file motions to dismiss the classified documents case against their client this week. For more on Trump's legal fights, we are joined by NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas. Danny, as always, thanks for joining us. So a lot going on. You're going to help us kind of 3 questions, 3 different topics this morning. So thanks for being here. Let's start with the potential appeal here in this massive $355 million civil fraud ruling. First, I want to play a little bit of something the former president said, and we'll talk.
It's a sham case. There were no victims, no defaults, no damages, no complaints, no nothing. There was nothing.
This idea of no victims, is that really what an appeal could hinge on, and what does that look like?
It's the best of a series of long-shot arguments when you're on appeal. And the argument basically is that the statute as applied to Donald Trump, there were no victims in this case in the sense that Deutsche Bank, for example, was a supposed victim that lost out on interest, that it could have charged Trump on loans. But they essentially testified that not only did they not really see themselves as victims, they went back to Trump for more business, and they never actually lost out on money. And it is true, at least historically, that this statute has only really been used or largely used against companies that have victims, that swindle people out of actual money. And, of course, the state put on evidence that they did lose money in the form of those interest payments. So, I mean, look, when you're on appeal, you're grasping at straws. That may be the strongest argument out of a bunch of otherwise unappetizing ones.
Let's talk about the hush money case. It is going to be the first time a former president has had a criminal trial. We've seen civil trials with the former president. This one's criminal. Remind us what the differences are, what we're going to see here when this starts, perhaps on March 25th.
Maybe the biggest difference is that in criminal trials, the defendant has to be there. They have to be there for everything. Now, in these pretrial motions that we've seen in the criminal cases, the defendant doesn't always need to be there if it's conferences, status conferences, things like that. But when we're talking criminal trial, the defendant's got to be there. They usually have to sign a subpoena every time they appear in court, so they come back the next time. So that's going to be one major difference. And, of course, Donald Trump's liberty is at stake. Sort of. In New York, we're talking about a Class E nonviolent felony. So is he likely to face prison time if convicted? Maybe theoretically, but I wouldn't expect him to.
Let's talk now about Florida. So Thursday's the deadline for motions. This is, again, the classified documents case. Trump is arguing that this should be dismissed. His team is saying that because of presidential immunity. What do you make of that argument, especially given that we've heard a lot about that? Do you think that there could be success there?
What do I make of it? There's been so much made of it already. There have been already several opinions at the district court level in D.C. and then at the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, and now even in certiorari requests, or I should be more precise, stay requests to the Supreme Court. It's the most briefed issue in the history of issues. So I think it's going to be a lot of the same if they raise immunity. Look for, in terms of a different new argument here, is going to be the Presidential Records Act. You know, we often say that no person is above the law. Well, the defense is going to argue, if the name of the law is the Presidential Records Act, well, the law kind of is treating one person differently. And it's not the Game and Wildlife Commissioner. It's the president. So they may have an argument there, although a lot of legal scholars will say, no, that's not going to protect him either.
All right. No offense to Game and Wildlife Commissioner.
No, it's fine.
Yeah,
nothing wrong
all
with
right.
that.
Okay.
Thanks, Danny. A new ruling by Alabama's Supreme Court could have far-reaching effects for in vitro fertilization treatments. The state's high court ruled Friday that fertilized, unimplanted embryos are children under Alabama's law. It comes after a group of patients filed wrongful death suits after another patient allegedly destroyed their frozen embryos by dropping them. Experts say the ruling leaves questions for IVF clinics, which could be held liable for discarding extra embryos. The case will now go back to the circuit court for more proceedings.
During the course of the war in Ukraine, we've seen a lot of conflict taking place around the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. That's Europe's largest nuclear plant. The fighting there has sparked fears that the plant may be on the brink of disaster. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel takes a look at just how dangerous the situation is at the Russian-controlled facility.
It's midnight on March 4th, 2022. CCTV cameras capture Russian troops as they attack Europe's biggest nuclear power plant near the Ukrainian city of Zaporizhzhia.
It should be night.
Pietro Kotin, the CEO of Ukraine's nuclear power company, watched the attack from Kyiv.
This is just a terrifying video. Watching fire spread and an attack at an active nuclear facility.
Right. And the units with nuclear materials right here.
The Ukrainians broadcast warnings, telling Russian troops to stop shelling at the risk of a nuclear disaster. The warnings went unheeded. Russian troops occupied the plant and the territory around it. Ukrainian forces held on to the far bank of the Dnieper River, leaving the nuclear power station right on the front line. 2 years on, the International Atomic Energy Agency, which has inspectors at the plant, is sounding the alarm.
You're responsible for nuclear security all around the world.
Yes.
Is this the most dangerous nuclear facility on the planet right now?
It's the most dangerous situation that we have. It's my job not to, panic, but at the same time, I have to tell the truth of what is happening.
Nuclear experts point to three main dangers. First, a military strike on the plant, either accidental or deliberate. Second, a power cut. The plant's 6 uranium reactors require electricity for cooling, but Ukrainian officials say 3 of the 4 power lines are damaged, and the 4th is faulty. There have already been 8 blackouts, as recently as December.
When you have a blackout, the cooling function of the reactors is lost, and you could have a meltdown.
And finally, it's understaffed. Ukrainians say the Russians have been abusing employees. 11,000 people worked at the plant before. Only 4,000 work there now. Irina Kokot is responsible for radiation detection for the Ukrainian government. Her office predicts how, if there was a meltdown, a cloud of radioactive particles would spread across much of Ukraine and neighboring countries.
This is Istanbul, right here. Yes. The city of Istanbul.
Yeah, this Istanbul.
Contaminated the entire city of Istanbul on the Black Sea. It's a catastrophe, a total catastrophe.
She says the fallout would last up to 100 years.
A nuclear disaster here would be felt around the world. Tens of thousands of people would either be killed or have their health impacted, and large parts of Ukraine and beyond will be left uninhabitable. Richard Engel, NBC News in Eastern Ukraine.
Well, the United Nations Security Council is expected to vote today on an Arab-backed resolution demanding an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. According to the Associated Press, which obtained a final draft, the resolution calls for Israel and Hamas to comply with international law, rejects the forced displacement of Palestinian civilians, and demands the immediate and unconditional release of all the hostages. But the U.S. is expected to veto that resolution and put forth a proposal of its own. For more, we are joined by NBC News foreign correspondent Molly Hunter in Jerusalem. Molly, good morning. So first, what can you tell us about this U.S. proposal?
Savannah, that's right. So the U.S. is set to propose a rival resolution that also calls for a ceasefire but uses different language. It says a temporary ceasefire as opposed to the Algerian-backed resolution, which calls for an immediate ceasefire. The U.S. resolution, according to the Associated Press, also calls for the release of all hostages and calls for the lifting of all restrictions on the delivery of humanitarian aid. Savannah, as you say, the Algerian and Arab-backed resolution will get a vote later this morning. We are expecting at the UN Security Council.
Molly, let's now talk more about the situation on the ground. So yesterday, we discussed the fact that the World Health Organization said the hospital in southern Gaza's largest city was no longer functional. This comes after Israeli raids at that facility. Now we are actually seeing some video from inside the hospital. Tell us about this.
That's exactly right. So the World Health Organization has been trying to get teams to the Nasser Medical Complex in Khan Yunis for the last couple of days. Well, the last 2 days, they have managed to get a team inside, and I think we actually have this video. Take a listen to one of the doctors who was on one of those rescue missions, and I'll tell you about it on the back end.
We were shocked what we actually saw in Nasser Medical Complex. There's waste everywhere. Electricity was not working. Parts of the hospital are damaged, and some severely damaged. The central drugstore, which was the drugstore, actually part of Nasser Medical Complex, which delivered drugs and medical supplies to the whole of south of Gaza, destroyed. And fortunately, with a lot of the supplies as well from WHO and partners.
For the last 2 days, Savannah, WHO has been able to get teams and evacuate or transfer, I should say, 32 critical patients in ambulances. We've seen very dramatic video of these doctors kind of in full protective gear with radios, working overnight in very serious, very dangerous conditions to get those 32 patients to field hospitals in southern Rafah. Savannah.
Molly, also UNICEF out with a new report. They are warning about a soaring number of child deaths due to malnutrition in Gaza. One executive specifically says the Strip is, quote, poised to witness an explosion in preventable child deaths. Tell us more about this report's findings.
Savannah, that's exactly right. And we've been talking about the dire warnings from WFP, from UNICEF, from big international aid organizations about the acute food shortages across the Strip. Well, the most vulnerable population is in the north, and then the most vulnerable population of those estimated 300,000 people living in the north are children. So what this new report says is that 15.6%, or 1 in 6 children under the age of 2, are acutely malnourished. Of these, Savannah, UNICEF in this report says 3% suffer from what they call severe wasting. That is the most life-threatening form of malnutrition, and they say this puts these children at the highest risk for death if aid does not start getting to the people who need it most, Savannah.
All right, Molly Hunter from Jerusalem for us. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.